It all comes down to this. The Euro 2024 final between Spain and England is upon us. We're going to do a very brief preview as well as my final prediction for the final to see how this tournament is going to end off. Thank you for all of the support on all of the videos, streams and everything like that throughout. We are going to be doing loads and loads more content going into the new season, so make sure you're subscribed for more of that. I'm also going to be doing a retrospective analysis narrative type video talking about how the Euros happened. Regardless of who wins, it's going to be a banger. So, we have obviously got a lot to look forward to. Spain versus England, there are some fantastic players on show. Some that have overperformed, some that have underperformed. For example, Harry Kane, Phil Foden, Bellingham has had moments here and there. But then you've had the stars like Lamine Yamal, Nico Williams, Fabian Ruiz has come out of nowhere in terms of the national team to be one of their best players in the tournament. Dani Olmo coming in for Pedri and then proceeding to smash it. So it's going to be fantastic. So the predicted lineups are as follows. England is going to be staying the same, basically, as the last game. Pickford and then this back five. But the question is whether Luke Shaw is going to be starting over Kieran Trippier. The reason, apparently, why Shaw didn't start the last game was because Gareth said he wasn't sure whether he had 90 minutes in him. Now, that's fair enough. Trippier, once again, was poor. Shaw did come on at half-time, so that's really, really good to see. The question now, though, is he fit enough to not play 90, but 120? Because you do not want to be subbing Trippier on. You would much rather have it the other way round. But that is looking like the potential only change. The rest is going to stay the same. Mainu has basically forced himself into this team, and despite Ollie Watkins coming on and scoring that great goal, Palmer coming on and looking fantastic, I just don't think that they actually start this game, and they will be more used as impact subs again. Spain are going to be sticking with what they've basically ran with this tournament. There were worries about Morata potentially not being able to play this game because he basically got two-footed by, was it a security guy? When people were coming on the pitch at the end of the game, he accidentally basically wiped him out, but looks like he's going to be okay. Nico Williams, Yamal and Olmo behind them have been unreal, as has the other two in midfield, and this back line, especially Cucurella, have been really impressive too. So a quick look at the route to the final for both of these teams. Spain, significantly more impressive than us, unfortunately. So in their first game, they're coming up against Croatia. Fabian Ruiz with a fantastic goal to start off the tournament after Morata was assisted by him. Lovely ball through to him, but then the little footwork in the box was incredible. Carvajal, this was like a week or two after he scored the goal in the Champions League final, then came in and managed to bag one here as well. Huge back-to-back goals for him, probably the biggest two goals he scored in his entire career. Croatia were poor. Italy, the Calafiori own goal wasn't really a great game, that one. And then against Albania, even basically playing their entire second string team because they were already through, they still got a win against Albania, who had been really impressive against Italy and Croatia in their first two group games. They were actually unfortunate that Spain were actually really, really good. Round of 16, they came up against Georgia, and this was probably one of the games of the tournament. Spain were battering Georgia, doing what they've done best in this tournament. Controlling possession and actually going forward with it. A lot of teams will keep the ball, but you won't actually see them creating chances or opportunities or making any risky passes. They'll play it safe, play it sideways and backwards and just retain that possession stat, but the chances created are very, very low. That's the opposite with Spain. They have the ball, but they just bombard you. And that is mainly due to the two wingers, Williams and Yamal, just absolutely leathering it down the wings and just getting at their fullback every opportunity that they can. So this game, they were battering Georgia and then somehow went 1-0 down. It was crazy. But then they did proceed to come back and batter them. Then we saw them go through against Germany. Wirtz doing what he's done all season for Leverkusen, scoring last minute massive goals to take it through to extra time. But then Mikel Merino, very, very nice goal. And then a beautiful celebration in honour of his father. That was really cool. And then their last game that we saw was 2-1 against France. they actually conceded the only open play goal that France have scored in the whole tournament. It was actually quite nice, to be fair, by Mbappe. But then, oh my goodness, Lamine Yamal with just the absolute wonder strike, which is right here, but I can't show you it due to copyright, I imagine. And then Dani Olmo with another exquisite goal. The technique on the dribble, that first touch was great, and then the second one to shift it to the side. Incredible. So that's their route to the final. They've actually been very, very convincing. They've been taken to extra time once, but they've only conceded 3 goals in the entire tournament. And then we get to us. So, first game against Serbia, Jude Bellingham. Is he going to have an incredible tournament? Scores 13 minutes in, then doesn't really proceed to do anything for the next few games. And that was basically where the excitement stopped, really, because the game against Denmark was horrific. One of the worst England performances, or like least entertaining England performances that I've seen in many a year. Harry Kane did get a goal from a jammy double deflected cross from Kyle Walker, and then we conceded an absolute banger from 30 yards out. So what can you really do about it? There just weren't that many chances created. It was a very dull game. And then the 0-0 v Slovenia. Okay, we had still only conceded 1 goal throughout the group stage. That's great, right? But going forward, again, a bit like France. France didn't have the best results, but it was more due to their lack of being clinical in front of goal. They were creating the chances and the opportunities, but for whatever reason, their players just could not actually hit the ball on target. It was going high and wide all over the place. We didn't do that. We just didn't have the chances to even miss the target. So, not great. We then get taken to extra time against Slovakia. Obviously, the Bellingham overhead kick, incredible scenes, and a massive, massive moment. And then Kane scoring straight away. And then we sit back and play 5 at the back against Slovakia. Terrible, but hey, it got us through. That's the main thing. Once again, we get taken to extra time against Switzerland, and this time we have to win on penalties. The guts of the people that took the penalties, though, fantastic. And Pickford, obviously, made the save against Akanji. It was a horrific penalty, though. Really, really bad. Like, if the keeper's going to save it, at least make it so that he has to save it with his outstretched arms. Not that it just hits the part that's closest to the middle of the goal. It's just really, really bad. But hey, credit to him and credit to our penalty takers, because they did really well. And then the semi-final against the Netherlands. This was comfortably the best that we have performed. I mean, we did okay against Switzerland. It feels like we have got better as the tournament has gone on. Is that because we play better against better teams? I don't know. Or is it because Gareth somehow, even though he's been managing this team and this squad for 6 years, needs a tournament to understand what to tweak? I don't know. Hopefully it's the first of the two, because otherwise that's a bit worrying. But we dominated the first half. We did concede early on, but then after that, and especially after we got the goal from the penalty, we were all over them first half. Second half wasn't quite as good, but then the subs from Southgate, fair play. He got it bang on. Cole Palmer and Watkins combining for that fantastic finish. That's actually been lacking massively in this tournament, not just from us, but most strikers haven't been taking those kind of shots. It feels like the majority of teams have been trying to, maybe not necessarily walk it in, but they are being safe with their shot types. Whereas Ollie Watkins, that is a proper striker. One touch, bang. Don't give the keeper a chance. Defender through the legs. That's how it's done. Instinctive striker play. And it was incredible to see. So, both teams have had their moments getting to the final, and they've had their standout players. Definitely more on the Spanish side than the English side. You'd probably say Mark Gahey, Kobe Mainu have been our best players. Spain, you could genuinely take a pick of their entire team. Says a lot, really. So what on earth do we need to do in order to actually win the Euros and bring football home, finally? I mean, what are we even going to do? if we actually win it, what happens then? Because every single tournament, every 2 years, it's the same thing. Everyone gets excited. Then they get bored because the first few games of the tournament are terrible. But then we start playing a little bit better. Everyone's getting the chants and the songs going, and we all get excited, and it's all coming home until it doesn't. What happens if it actually does? Is it just a national party? Who knows? But what do we need to do in order to try and make that happen? There's basically one of two things that we can go for. One is to try and scam our way through. Play deeper, try and defend, play a bit of a low block against these wingers of Yamal and Williams. Don't give them the space, don't let them attack the fullback and cut inside and everything like that. Try and keep the ball, keep possession, but pretty much play for penalties from minute 1. It would be ridiculously boring, but it could work. Sadly, that's probably the route we're going to go down. The other route is to actually play positive attacking football and utilise counter-attacks. The thing is with this Spanish team, Williams, Yamal, they play with proper wingers. None of this inverted 10, whatever, none of that. They are out and out wingers. So when they go, there is space in behind them. If you manage to tackle them, what you need, for example, if Luke Shaw or Gahey tackles Lamine Yamal down here, you need Rice or Bellingham to get into this gap that has been opened up by him losing the ball. And then we need to break from that. The problem that we have had a lot in this tournament is you haven't had the runners. And that was always going to happen at the start when you had Foden at left wing, because he isn't a sprinter, he's not a winger. If you were playing Anthony Gordon, then you could potentially ping the ball from right back all the way to the other corner. And vice versa, if you had Luke Shaw to Saka, you could ping it that way. But the problem is Trippier needs to cut inside and then try and ping it. It doesn't really work. Kyle Walker just doesn't really do that. If you were playing Trent and a winger, maybe. So we weren't really able to do that at the start. But now, maybe there's an option to do that. Especially with the way that Foden and Bellingham were tucking in and getting in those sort of dual number 10 positions in the previous game. Saka playing wide, and hopefully Luke Shaw providing an option for the overlap to get some crosses in. That's the hope here. And I think that is what we would need to do tactically in order to properly try and get at these. Carvajal can be beaten. Cucurella has actually had maybe the best 6 months of his career. He was obviously very good for a period for Brighton. Since going to Chelsea, not that great. But towards the end of the season, and now in the Euros, he's been amazing. So we saw Saka have a lot of success in the Netherlands game, and also the Switzerland game. He was getting at his man quite a lot. So, do we think that he'd be successful going against Cucurella? Yes. Not because Cucurella is going to massively struggle because he's not great, but because Saka, when he's driving at a defender and a fullback and actually trying to beat them 1v1, is fantastic. He needs to actually understand a little bit more that he is elite at it and should do it more often, because 9 times out of 10 it seems that when he tries to beat his fullback, he succeeds. So we can utilise that. And what you want to see is if Saka is running down the line here, you want Foden in this little gap here, right? If everyone is in these positions, you want Foden finding himself in this little pocket so that if Saka does beat Cucurella, instead of having to cross it all the way in to maybe a Harry Kane that's still on the halfway line, or someone like Bellingham trying to get in, he can just lay a little pass in behind here, and suddenly you've got Foden in a ridiculously good position to maybe have a shot, maybe have a little dribble further into the box, or cut it back, lay it back, something like that. I think that is probably our best bet at getting at this Spanish team. Is, okay, letting them attack a little bit, but then pouncing on the counter-attack and utilising wide players ourselves, because their forward wide players will be out of position and they can't be sprinting up and down every single time that they lose the ball. So I think that is going to be our solution in this game. So the final question is, what's the prediction? Is football coming home, or are Spain going to win a historic fourth, I think, European title? I would absolutely love to sit here and say that going into the tournament, we had arguably the best squad, along with France, and therefore those star players and the quality will come good, and that will be the reason why we win this game. Just a huge moment from a superstar player like a Bellingham or a Kane. Suddenly they stand up and it happens. But Spain are the most cohesive team that we've seen in this tournament, as shown by how they've dominated so many games. They've even chopped and changed a couple of players due to injury, suspension, and they haven't got any worse. So this is going to be one of the toughest games for every English player on that pitch of their entire career. They do have the capability to do it. Of course they do. Because they are fantastic players. I just don't think we have enough chemistry right here with this squad, this manager, whatever, the formation, etc., to go toe-to-toe with a system for Spain that is looking unstoppable. I think it's more of a case that they are so good that that's why it's going to happen, rather than, oh yeah, we're not great. Because whilst we haven't been incredible this tournament, we have incredible players and we've got better in each game. The thing is, from the Netherlands game, even though we were fantastic in the first half, the level would have to not just jump up a little bit incrementally like it has done in each game. It would need to fly. Basically, everyone on the pitch would need to play near to the best of their ability, unless, and they haven't done it so far this tournament, maybe, just maybe, Spain have a stinker. Maybe someone like Rodri, for whatever reason, decides that he isn't arguably the best player in the world and just has a disaster class, a 2 out of 10. He plays through Harry Kane when he's attempting to pass it backwards, and we go 1-0 up early doors, and then suddenly all the tactics are out the window. It's very wishful thinking. It's not going to happen. My final prediction for the Euros. We got to go with our head, not our heart. I think Spain win the Euros, and it's going to be 2-1. To go into a tiny bit more detail, I think they will go 1-0 up. We will do what we normally do. We look better when we go a goal down for whatever. It basically kicks our players into overdrive. We'll get an equaliser, and then our hearts will be broken in the last 5-10 minutes of normal time, I think. I think maybe we'll make our subs and then go for it a little bit, get caught by one of their wingers, and that's it. A now 17-year-old dominates us in the final and lifts Spain the trophy. That's what I think. Let me know what you think. And as I said, there will be a big retrospective Euros video that's not even going to feature my face. It's going to be a faceless narrative video that I really, really hope that you guys enjoy, because I'm going to put a decent amount of time into it. You guys have enjoyed some of the other videos that I've done in a similar style in the past, so you'll have to let me know your thoughts. But also, let me know your predictions in the comments.